Hello and welcome to Beyond Reproach. This is Tux Lerzel.
And Stephanie Domingo.
I come to you from Detroit, Michigan, where I'm recording on land belonging to the Ottawa, Ojibwe, Potawatomi, and Wyandot nations.
And I come to you from North Canton, Ohio, where I am recording on land belonging to the Kaskaskia peoples.
These are facts. We're both coming to you from Pride Month, and we're feeling... We're making it gay.
We're making it super gay. Deal with it. Embrace it.
Yes. Beyond Reproach is the show, for those of you who forgot, Beyond Reproach is the show about gay scandals and gay scandalousness in American politics and government.
I love that. Okay. That's going to be the edit every June going forward.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And as per usual, we be drinking and we be swearing.
Yeah, we back on our bullshit, y'all.
Gay ass bullshit.
It's the only bullshit I really love. It's decorative bullshit.
Decorative, yes. Make it fashion. Bullshit, but make it fashion. Even though Stephanie is back from Italy and currently in Ohio.
Yeah, we're in the same time zone. It's incredible.
Oh my God.
We're both alive at the same time.
It's wilding out. I decided to pull another Italian cocktail today. Nevertheless.
I'm not mad.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a delicious cocktail that everyone loves.
Yeah.
So Stephanie's story today is from the 1970s, and I could not bring myself to make another
I'm sorry.
Stupid, fruity vodka schnapps bullshit cocktail again. Not for pride.
Yeah.
No. Not today, Satan. So here we are drinking one of our favorite light and summery, brunchy, refreshing cocktails.
It's the best.
The Aperol Spritz.
Yeah. It's so Italian, so light, so perfect for sipping. You can have like 6 or 7 of them as you're like lightly eating and like not be drunk. Like it's just the best.
I'm actually very glad that this is such a light cocktail because I'm already feeling pretty toasty from the last 2. I literally consumed 6 ounces of straight brandy in the past like hour and a half from our last episode. So this is a very welcome relief.
Relief.
For those of you who have been living under a rock in the closet for the past 20 years.
I love that.
Aperol is a citrusy, bittersweet Italian aperitif. It's kind of similar to Campari, but it's significantly less bitter.
Yeah.
It's just as sweet, but less bitter. So a lot of Americans find it much easier to drink. The name Aperol is actually a play on a French slang word for the word aperitif. The French sometimes shorten aperitif to apéro.
Wait, the French not pronouncing a full word?
I know. Imagine that.
What?
Can you believe it? Are your pearls clutched?
Yes, yeah. I've passed away, actually.
Yeah.
I speak to you from beyond.
from the afterlife. We're going to have to start recording these episodes via Ouija board.
Yeah. Oh my God, that episode would be 17 days long.
But yeah, the French will call an aperitif apéro. And so the Italians decided to sort of make a play on that and call their new aperitif Aperol. Aperol first came on the market in Italy in 1919.
Okay.
Which is very recent, kind of. The Spritz has been around for much longer, though. Aperol's new, but the Spritz is far from new. In the 1800s, part of the Veneto region in northern Italy was controlled by the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
Mm-hmm.
And the story is that visitors and soldiers from the Austro-Hungarian Empire found Italian wines too strong and started adding a splash, or a spritz in German, of water to lighten up the wine.
Okay.
Over the years, the recipe slowly evolved, and eventually soda water started getting substituted for the flat water. And from there, people started adding other flavors and other liqueurs to their wine to sort of gussy this drink up even more. Aperol was added to the spritz in the 1950s. And while the recipe was an instant hit in Italy, it didn't really become popular in the US until the 1970s. We've talked before on the show about how Italian liquor brands and liqueur brands were marketing real hard to Americans in the 70s. And Aperol was no different. They were like, we got marketing dollars to spend, and the US is the place to spend them.
We Americans love to be marketed towards.
Absolutely, yeah. So the Aperol Spritz is listed on a couple of cocktail like if you look up cocktails that were popular in the 70s, you're going to find the Aperol list or Aperol Spritz on a few of those lists. But then, of course, it has also blown up yet again in recent years because Aperol was acquired by Gruppo Campari in the early 2000s.
Okay.
And they went in hard with advertising to Americans once again.
Yeah.
Making the Aperol Spritz the go-to drink at social media-friendly events like the Governor's Ball.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, it's very drinkable. I get it.
And it's pretty. It's so pretty
gorgeous.
In a glass.
It's so like quintessentially Italian in that like men can drink it and their dicks don't fall off.
Stars.
Oh, your stars.
Yeah. So if you haven't made an Aperol Spritz at home before, I feel like a lot of people think that it's difficult or fussy or something, and people are afraid to make them at home. They just order them like out when they're at like brunch or something. But yeah, Aperol Spritzes are really easy to make at home. All you do is take a big old wine glass, like a big old bowl to put your wine in, something goblet-y, and fill it with ice. And it's not even really a recipe. It's more of a ratio.
Yeah.
You add 3 parts Prosecco, 2 parts Aperol, and 1 part soda water. So it's literally 3-2-1. It could not be easier to make or to remember.
Yeah, it's really easy, really drinkable. I usually just like go by kind of the color. I'm like, okay, it needs a little bit more.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've made enough of them at home that I know what color. I've been to restaurants with Russell, and he has sent them back if the color was wrong.
I mean, that means they fucked up the ratio.
Yeah. Like he didn't even have to take a sip. Just look at it and be like, this isn't right.
Yeah.
Make it again. Yeah. Add more Aperol.
Yeah. I love that.
But let's take a sip here.
Yes. I mean, this is a cocktail cheers that I love so much that
it's so good. Yeah, we know what this tastes like already.
Yeah. But I hope this inspires people who have not made it at home to make it at home, because it's really, really simple.
It's so good. But yeah, it's sweet. It's refreshing. It's light.
Yes, it's very
vibrant.
light. Mm-hmm.
It's also got like a little bit of bitterness, which is perfect and makes it feel very Italian.
Yes.
But it's like not too bitter in the way that, some people really like. I would also drink a Campari Spritz, but I feel like a lot of people would be like, oh.
Yeah. It's diluted, but it's still, Campari packs a really like bitter punch. It's like extra herbally and just very weird from like the things that we enjoy as Americans. We don't do that kind of flavor.
And the bitterness in Aperol is like, there's just enough bitterness to make it feel like not American, make it feel like fancy and foreign, but like not so much bitterness that we're like, oh, my sensitive palate.
Yeah. So 'tis the season. We are in the month of June. You all at this point probably heard the episode that Tux did 2 weeks ago. I was kind of wrestling about whether I should do this scandal or not, since the Twinkie defense. This is someone who came on my radar. I was wondering if this topic was even like scandalous enough, given the timeline we exist upon right now.
Yeah.
But now, since you tackled the moral majority, you've done most of the like foundational, in my opinion, the foundational heavy lifting.
Okay.
To understand the subtext for my story. So that episode for me, I know. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
That episode for me revealed just a framework about the right and their, what they say that they're freaking out about, like when it comes to abortion. For those who need a little bit of a refresher, the moral majority first mobilized not to restrict the rights and bodily autonomy of people who can give birth, but in order to keep schools segregated.
Yes.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to pause and re-listen, it's not necessary, but they're good companion episodes. That episode has one of my favorite show titles, Charisma, Uniqueness, Nerve, and Talent.
Yes, I forgot about that. Oh my God.
Which feels extra relevant in this month, of course. And also extra relevant because the subject of my scandal had some fucking nerve and perhaps some charisma to certain people. So my scandal today is Anita Bryant. And how
God.
Yep.
Yes.
And how her Save Our Children campaign birthed Florida's current LGBTQIA culture war on education.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
I know you are.
Fucking Bryant. Oh my God, are we going to be talking about the pie?
Of course.
Yes, okay.
Of course.
Okay.
Not only are we talking about her, like, it's you. So of course we're talking about the pie.
Yeah.
So, but first a toast. This is a choose your own adventure toast.
Ooh, ooh la la.
I have
How gay.
It's very gay. I have a long-winded toast and I have a short version. Which would you prefer? I mean, I should probably do both.
The long version.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, they're both good. I'm going to do both. Fuck it.
Okay. Shorty and extended or?
Yeah. I'm going to do extended and shorty. I feel like I'm going to end with the shorty because it's like, it's short. Yeah. And to the point. It's a good little wrap up. So let us raise our glass to right-wing Americans symbolically using care for children as a weapon to move discussions away from freedom and justice for all.
Not protecting the children.
Right? Instead, to focus on what's in the best interest of a child's education, which just so happens to maintain the status quo, i.e. white supremacy. So that's the long toast. And the short toast is, fuck them kids.
Okay, yes. I love it. Fuck them kids. But also, it's not the kids' fault. Fuck them adults, really.
Fuck them both.
Yeah, I mean.
Fuck their supposed care for these kids is really the subject.
Yes,
is the real.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the reading between
the these kids did not ask for this.
No, they did not. No.
When I was a kid at school learning the golden rule, teacher often used to say, if you don't tell a lie, there's not a reason why you can't be like Washington someday. How could Washington be a married man and never, never tell a lie?
So for some background about what was going on at the time in Miami, because this is where all hell broke loose with Anita and her bullshit. So the general attitudes about Miami mirrored most big cities at the time. There was a nightlife that was pretty big in Miami in the 30s. I don't know if you know about that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, really, really big. Like the gay entertainment rivaled like the straight entertainment. There were clubs, there were little like bars, there were spaces for performances. But by the 1950s, during the Lavender Scare, the city government worked really, really hard to shut down these establishments. They closed down as many gay bars as they could, and they enacted laws making homosexuality and cross-dressing illegal, because it wasn't until that point.
Shocking. Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense that would be the perfect place for gay people to flock
it's so
to.
Warm, and like there's like a beach, and like there's lots of like, brown people. It's, it's fun, especially Miami.
Yeah.
Like, speaking about Miami, it's dense enough to have a good amount of people there.
Yeah. The Golden Girls were there.
I mean, everyone who needed to be there was there. So in the 1960s, the Miami Herald ran several stories implying that the life of area homosexuals just minding their own damn business was synonymous to criminals, to child molesters, to pimps.
Sure.
They're going to steal your children and put them on the street. So CBS, they aired a documentary in the late... Do you know about this? In the late...
No, but
okay.
I'm already worried.
It was just called The Homosexuals.
I have seen clips from The Homosexuals.
Stop
actually.
It, you have?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Are they good? Are they like so campy and terrible?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so this was 1967. The Homosexuals hit CBS.
Yeah, it's very like Johnny is at the park and this old man approaches him. Yeah.
Yes, it was warning viewers that young boys were in danger from these predatory older gay men. So the public image of the gay community started to shift with the Stonewall riots in 1969. Mm-hmm. Although gay life had kind of moved back into the closet, especially comparing and contrasting the 30s through the 50s and mid 60s, things were starting to change. More people were kind of coming out in the late 60s, early 70s. 1972, the DNC was in Miami, and it featured for the first time a public speech by a out activist from San Francisco, a man named Jim Foster. And that was huge. And that happened in Miami. So 2 years after that, Jack Campbell opened Miami's branch of Club Baths in 1974. Do you know Club Baths? It was I only know about this through researching this scandal. The first Club Bath was in Cleveland, of all places.
Wow. Okay.
And it was the first chain of bathhouses in the U.S. and it eventually spread to Europe. He had like 40 bathhouses before he passed away. And he was really such an activist. Like, he was a business owner, but he was about bringing men and women out of the closet. So when he opened this establishment in Miami, he made sure that if the police fucked with gay people, as they were wont to do, as again, cops are going to cop. We learned that with Tux's scandal. He made sure that every time there were arrests, that every arrest was dropped. He eventually would file a lawsuit against the Miami PD for harassment. And he received a formal apology from them, from the police. Yeah. He's like,
that's shocking.
You're not going to fucking do this to us. Like, and he was able to do that because he had such power and influence and money, really, for his legal defense. But it really changed things in Miami. So even though there was still this very negative depiction of gay and lesbian people in the media, things were starting to change a little bit. Local newspapers started to take slightly more sympathetic tones when it came to reporting supposed crimes by this group. They started to see like, okay, these people are just quietly being oppressed and like maybe they're not the enemy.
Really?
Yeah. So in December of 1976, the commissioner in Miami, a woman named Ruth Shack, she proposed a gay rights ordinance. This ordinance was basically, she was told by a newly formed gay lobbying organization, like, this is what you're going to do for us.
Wow.
Because again, you have to take power. Like these, especially these white women aren't just going to do it. Like, you're going to have to hold their hand and say like, hey, we're doing this.
Yeah, you step up and say, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah. So when the news of this ordinance, just the proposal, was reported, there was a huge ripple throughout the evangelical Christian world.
Sure.
Protests spread from local churches. One church in particular, Northwest Baptist Church, they were really in their feelings about this. The thought of it becoming illegal to criminalize gay behavior, they were upset. So they announced from the pulpit about this ordinance that hadn't even passed, just was being talked about. There was a vote coming up.
Bitches.
And Anita Bryant was in the audience of that congregation, of course, and she was upset. Mm-hmm. She was shook. So it's worth noting that the backlash against gay rights occurred at the same moment that Dade County is the county where Miami is, for people who don't know.
Yeah.
So the Dade County schools were being resegregated due to white outrage. This is the same moment that this is happening. Christ. So these people were just mad, and their anger had already been used to reverse school integration. So this was just a new avenue for that kind of rage of like, yeah, people being different and people being treated as people. We can't have that.
No, absolutely not. I love that they're like, we can funnel our anger into making things happen that make the world a worse place. So let's just keep it going.
What would Jesus do?
Not this.
I know. So a quick bit about Bryant. I kind of wrestled with like, should I even talk about her like backstory? Because who the fuck cares? She sucks.
She sure does, but it's interesting.
That, it is like, kind of interesting.
It sort of colors like who she became.
Yeah, and I felt especially okay with it because she does get hers in the end, and it feels fun. So her early life was a mess. That is not an excuse or an explanation for her becoming a professional bigot at all. But she grew up in a very unstable home. There were lots of moves. Her parents divorced each other twice. And
really?
Yeah.
They remarried and divorced again?
Yes. Remarried and divorced again. And because of this instability, she often stayed with grandparents, and she lived in a really like under poor conditions because her mother was a single mom and just, was struggling. So when Bryant was 2 years old, her grandfather taught her how to sing Jesus Loves Me.
Oh my God.
So I blame him for gassing her up.
Literally.
Like, he did this to us. So she started singing on stage at the age of 6 at just like county fairs. And she would become a born again Christian at age 6. I'm sorry, at age 8. And she recounted that her faith was a stabilizing force in her life because things were so up and down, which is like, okay, I'm glad that you had religion.
I mean, it's sad that an 8 had to feel like needed to feel like there was a stabilizing force in her life. 8-year-olds shouldn't have to feel like that.
No, they shouldn't have to choose a religion to be able to hold on to their 8-year-old life.
Jesus Christ. But also fuck that bitch.
Again, fuck them kids. Is that what I said?
Literally. Yeah.
So she would eventually get on the pageant circuit and she would win Miss Oklahoma. Like that's what she's like most known for, winning Miss Oklahoma and being a runner-up for Miss America. Mm-hmm. After that, she kind of became like a middling pop star. She had a few like top 40 hits. None of these hits I've ever heard of. So, she wasn't that great, but she made music. I don't think she was that great during the 50s and 60s. And even if she was great, she sucks. Do you know any of her music?
I wonder if I've heard these songs and like just didn't know that it was her. Now I want to listen to.
Now I want to pull up her hits. So her big hit was what does this say? My Little Corner of. Why won't it show me the whole title? Oh, Tux,
I know the song.
Stop it. No, you don't.
That's Anita Bryant?
No, you don't. You know her?
I do. I actually like that song.
Stop it. No, you don't.
Oh my God, that's fucking Anita Bryant.
What's it? I'm not even able to see the whole song name. What's it fucking called?
I'm trying to remember how it goes, but I definitely recognize.
My Little Corner of the World.
Yes.
Yeah. She also had a song called Paper Roses. I Can't Do It By Myself, Promise Me a Rose, The World of Lonely People, Step by Step, Little by Little. Yeah.
My Little Corner of the World is the only one that sounds familiar, but I definitely know that song.
Okay.
Wild.
Okay, so I guess she had a bop.
I mean, that's a stretch.
Okay. She has one song that Tux heard once and didn't hate.
Yes.
There we go. Yeah. Let me slow down. So she would eventually join Bob Hope on his like tours of servicemen tours in 1961. She would go to Vietnam and unfortunately not be hit by Agent Orange. And
it's a play on words because of oranges too.
Oh yes, that's what I meant. I am clever. Wordplay, etc.
That's what I said. Yeah.
It's actually like not in my outline. I put it in my outline. I'm like, Stephanie, this is hateful. And I'm like, come on.
I mean, she deserves it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for validating my hate and ass feelings towards her. So
I mean, the 6 ounces of brandy may have helped, but yeah, I'm on team hateful.
So in 1969, she would become the face of Florida orange juice. This was like, I guess this is the thing that most people know her from. She became a household name. She had a little jingle. What did she say? Like, a breakfast without orange juice is like a day without sunshine. Bitch, grow up. But that was like,
good Lord.
So fucking corny. It's upsetting. But she, became like America's little darling, pushing this orange juice. My favorite thing from her bio was that in 1975, she published a cookbook. A cookbook.
75?
Yeah, 75. A cookbook no one asked for, called Bless This Food, the Anita Bryant Family Cookbook. This is a cookbook. You're now. This is a cookbook that she described as much more than a cookbook. This is a story of a family devoted to Christ.
Oh, no. So there's no seasonings used in this cookbook at all.
Yes. No seasonings. That's what she's telling us.
No one told her that citrus was gay.
Yeah. Oh, God. That would ruin her life. Well, yeah. So Anita was back to this ordinance. She was in her feelings that this ordinance would grant gay citizens some of the rights that she enjoyed as a citizen. She would call her then friend, Commissioner Ruth Shack, like the woman who proposed this. I say then friend because if you go to both of these women's wikis, it says former friend, which is so fucking petty. Like I feel like Ruth was just like, I don't know that hoe. Oh, it's just so petty. I love it. So the commissioner told her friend at the time, like, I'm sorry, like this is gonna go up for a vote. Like this is, the ball's already in motion. Like we can't just stop it because like you don't like the thought of it. Like that's not how government works, ma'am.
Yeah. And also, like, what is your fucking problem?
Well, she had donated to this friend's campaign and I guess thought she owned her.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. So hence the former friend. So opponents and proponents showed up for this vote. Everyone who was there was allowed to, give their little testimony really briefly before the vote happened. Anita, of course, sees the opportunity. She was a household name. People recognized her. Her quotes would end up in the papers the next day. She claimed that this ordinance condones immorality and discriminates against my child's right to grow up in a healthy, decent community.
What? What? Excuse me?
Yeah.
Discrimination.
Correct. The nerve. The fucking gall.
The gall. The gumption.
The gumption. Yes. All of that discriminates against her. Don't you know?
Good God, girl, get a grip.
No, it discriminates against her child. I'm sorry. Yeah, her child's rights to grow up in a healthy, decent community. But less than a month later, on January 18th, 1977, the Dade County Commission approved the law that outlawed discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation in employment, housing, and public services. This made Miami the 40th U.S. city to have such a law. She lost.
Yeah.
That fight. I feel like now is time for a little break, and when we come back, we will hear how she took that loss.
Oh my God, she did not know how to take the L.
No. She most certainly did not.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to like mentally prepare for what comes next.
Yeah. BRB.
BRB.
Jeez, and it looks like we're live here. I'm one of your hosts, Hamish.
And I'm your other host, Aaron Conway.
And welcome to our show,
The Third Wheel.
And today we're joined by...
Hello everyone, I'm Anna Blackburn.
I'm Josh.
My name's James.
Yes, I'm Nish.
My name's Sneeja.
I'm Gina.
Hi everyone, I'm Lil.
This is Yakeshri.
I'm Tam.
Hi, I'm Deja.
I'm Nikhil.
I'm Ashley.
My name's Dar.
I'm Shami.
That's just a few of our previous guests. Every episode we're joined by a third wheel to hear their story, debate some juicy topics and play some games. You can find us everywhere at thirdwheel.fm and follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook at The Third Wheel FM.
Jumping on this podcast, the third wheel. I love being the third wheel right now. It's fantastic.
Okay, and we're back, y'all.
Back. I just made Stephanie listen to
Yes.
My Little Corner of the World, and I'm going to say that it's not a good song.
Thank you.
It's very. It's apparently it was recorded in 1960, and it's very, very colicky sweet and very feminine and like stupid.
Yes.
I have heard the song before, and I do know the song, but I didn't realize this until I started looking for it, and I played the Anita Bryant version. Was like, this is not the version that I know.
Oh, you knew a
The
cover.
version that I know was re-recorded in like the late 60s by a country artist named Connie Smith.
Okay.
And that version, I mean, it's still, I would not call it a great song, but the way she does it is a little less like cutesy. You know what I mean? I did look up because I was like, oh, maybe the Anita Bryant version is a cover, but she was the first person to record it. She didn't write it.
Of course not.
Yeah, but she was the first person to record it. But
Okay.
Apparently a bunch of people have recorded covers of it. Marie Osmond has a version of it.
Oh, wow.
apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that the version that you actually enjoy is not hers. Like that gives
Yeah.
solace.
Because that was like the first thing I was like, okay, I'm going to play this. I literally typed in Anita Bryant into Spotify and was like, this version sucks. What is this?
Yeah. This is Anita's true form. So she is very upset by this ordinance passing. She began a campaign to repeal it that same day.
Yeah.
Within 6
That
weeks. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Within 6 weeks, she had gathered enough signatures to put the issue up for a revote. So she formed an organization called Save Our Children Incorporated.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Incorporated.
It based the campaign basically on villainizing the LGBTQIA community. This was not new, but Brian took the idea of protecting children, and she made it mainstream because she was so popular at the time. She was the spokesman of this, of her org. She used the argument that, this is a quote from her, homosexuals cannot reproduce, so they must recruit. And to freshen their ranks, they must recruit the youth of America.
Girl, what?
Bitch, you sound like you're talking about Christianity. Like, stop
Literally
projecting.
First of all,
Yeah.
that part.
Yeah.
That part. But also, like, do you have any evidence of this? Do you have any, like, a single shred of evidence that like half the gay men in this country had ever even fucking met an out and proud gay man before they came out?
And also,
before they realized.
Yeah, it's trash. Like, trying to unpack the layers of trash, it's like, we'll be here all day. But like, the fact that they can't reproduce, it's like, well, then how did they get here in the first place? Like, can we talk about this, friend? Let's start there.
Literally.
Yeah. It's just so...
Adam and Steve were out here like...
Oh my God, their favorite argument. Oh my God. So Brian's focus on this lie that queer people were threatening to children, it created a talking point that conservatives really were able to rally around. She was able to get everyone in her stupid church and all of her neighbors on board, and just anyone who was conservative was very susceptible to this message. She was a very palatable white lady, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So she paired this with her, Christian faith. Everything was about the faith. She told a publication that was a beacon of Christian morality, a publication called Playboy Magazine. She gave them an interview in 1978, and she said that her position on queer people being dangerous was not, this is a quote, was not taken out of homophobia.
Ah, yes.
But out of love for gay people.
Oh, that makes so much sense if you don't think about it.
Uh-huh. So when a gay activist threw a pie in her hating ass face during a news conference, she didn't press charges. She instead publicly prayed for the man to be, quote, delivered from his deviant lifestyle.
I did know that, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you know the man who pied her?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
Everyone should know this man. His name is Thomas Lawrence Higgins. Does that sound familiar?
It does, but I don't.
Okay.
I don't know who it is.
He was a bad bitch. He was a writer. He was an activist. He is the one credited with coining the term gay pride.
Oh,
we
wow.
need to know
his
name. He pied the fuck out of her.
Wow. Good for him.
Yeah.
On so many levels.
Yeah. He died way too young. He died at 44, but he, in my opinion, he accomplished what he was put on this earth to do.
Yeah. Wow. Was it in the 80s that he died, or
no,
90s?
It was in the 90s, and it didn't say what he died of. And yeah, I know. That's what I kind of thought, but I'm like, they would say it because was such a huge member of the community. Why would they hide that? But I don't know.
Yeah.
He pied the fuck out of her. And I like to think that if I was able to be blessed to find the strength, find the accuracy to kick DeSantis in the dick, and I died at 44, that would be my life's purpose. I would die with a smile on my face.
Exactly. You can die happy.
Yeah.
Knowing. Yeah.
I either want to live to 100 or die at 44 kicking DeSantis in his bathing suit area and being promptly shot by the police. Yeah. Thomas Lawrence Higgins, a bad bitch. Everyone should know him. So deviance was the rallying cry. It was her core argument that homosexuality was evil and that queer people didn't deserve rights, and to award them rights. This argument is such trash. She wrote a memoir that, again, no one asked for. She said to award them non-discrimination protection was to offer them a kind of special privilege. You mean the privilege everyone else gets?
Yeah, literally a special privilege of having the same rights as everyone else in this country.
She went on to say that if we label homosexuality a civil rights issue, what's to stop? This argument exploded my brain, and also kind of made me cry because it's so absurd, but it was published in a lot of places it was a real argument at the time. She said, what is to stop the murderer from shouting murderer's rights?
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Who am I hurting?
Yeah.
By being gay?
Yeah. So her just vile work resulted in a repeal of the Dade County ordinance by more than a 2-to-1 margin. And its repeal caused a backlash of other states doing the same thing, repealing the ordinances that they had previously approved to protect the rights of the queer community, they're just like, no, we're going back. Like, this woman, like, she's onto something. She has such good ideas. So her fame really grew. She kind of had like a second win in her popularity. She took her message around the country, and it was trash, but popular. So by the 1970s, like, there was no need for this, but by the 1970s, there was a growing body of scientific research showing that gay men were no more predisposed to having sexual interests in children than heterosexual men were. Nevertheless, shocking, right? Shocking that people are people, huh? Really makes you think. So nevertheless, like, media reports still talked about gay predators just because she was having so much airtime.
Mm-hmm. So
she was able to spread this lie that homosexuality and pedophilia were somehow like linked. And
it still persists to this day.
I mean,
thanks to her.
I don't want anyone to hear that this is me defending her. She did not start this, but she added, of course, but she gas to a fire that had been burning. Exactly. A gas to a lie that especially gay teachers were harmful to children. Yeah. Teachers who are being paid literally nickels to deal with your shitty ass kids it's trash. But the blueprint for this type of rhetoric had been laid 2 decades before in Florida. The Florida Legislative Investigation Committee, that's commonly known by its name, the Johns Committee. Have you heard of the Johns Committee?
No.
Okay, it was named after Charlie Johns. He was the first chairman of this committee. It was established in 1956, and it was born out of opposition to desegregation of schools and the pursuit of communists, because these things are always linked. Right?
Yeah.
So the committee, their first target was the NAACP, but that was stopped by the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court's like, I see what you're doing, bitch. Like, this is illegal. Like, you're targeting them because they're black and we can see you. So no. So then the committee turned its investigation towards alleged communists in Florida schools. But that was stopped by the American Association of University Professors. They're just like, no, you're not going to target our schools. Like, no, you're not going to do this. Like, we're watching you. So they needed a new target. They needed a target that was unprotected. So in the fall of 1958, the committee began to investigate and eliminate LGBTQIA people from Florida schools. There was no court protecting them. There was no association yet in 58 that would say, hey, you're not going to do this. Like, these citizens have rights. And this committee was well funded by taxpayer dollars, and school principals and university professors alike, they cooperated.
Jesus Christ.
So Charlie John's argument, again, this is the chairman of this committee, was that homosexuals are perverting our youth because they're teaching our youth in college and in high school and in elementary school. We have to get rid of them so they won't turn young people into homosexuals. And again, how do homosexuals get here? If not from straight people. Like, you're a dumb bitch and I hate you. Like, this, like, the unseriousness of this of this, to even call it a argument, is being very generous. It's trash.
Have you talked to one gay person about like whether or not they knew any gay adults when they were kids? What?
Of course not. Don't you know you were activated by another gay man being like, have you tried? Have you heard the good word of the gay? Like,
oh my God.
So from 1958 to 1965, hundreds, if not thousands, of students and teachers were targeted, queer students and teachers, many losing their livelihood or being kicked out of school. Though the committee was, it deterred from its investigation into the NAACP and the communists, again, because people were watching. But this didn't happen when they targeted gay people. And it just, it became so obvious, especially to historians looking back. They're like, this is like, they tried to do one thing and they said no. And they went down the river and said no. They're like, this is all connected, similar to how abortion was not originally about abortion.
Yeah, exactly. And also sort of like what I was saying in the last episode about how like you can't pick off the big fish first. You have to find the smallest, easiest target and you work your way out from there.
Yeah. So I have a quote from a historian and author of a book called When Brooklyn Was Queer, a man named
Hugh Ryan.
Yeah, Hugh Ryan. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he said have you read it?
There were a lot of quotes. I actually took stuff out of my outline, but I had stuff from him in my outline too, and I ended up taking it out.
Okay.
But I haven't read it all the way through yet, but I read chapters of it for my research.
Cool. So he said that the Christian right really comes together on enforcing segregation in the 1960s. It's all about anti-Black racism. That's largely where it starts. And they've hit on this idea that they're protecting children in education. We see this with the faux controversy around CRT, a thing that they don't even know what is. Like they know that it's about race and they're like, we can't talk about race. So he goes on to say that they realize that this works, meaning the strategy of saying it's about children and not about race, children and education specifically. They realize that this works, that this issue will create a political majority. By the time we get to Anita Bryant in 1977, they're already harnessing the power of political conservatism and attach it to religion by talking about the family. Though the Dade County Ordinance was repealed in 1998, way too fucking late, opposition to the bill led to a kind of queer activism that hadn't been seen before in Florida.
Yeah.
I have another quote from a historian named Julio Capo Jr. He's a Florida native and professor who wrote a book called Welcome to Fairyland, Queer Miami Before 1940. He says the thing to remember is that Anita Bryant won that battle initially, but she did not win that war. She inadvertently supercharged the gay rights movement. Protesting became a symbol of queer resistance. And he said that it was transformative.
Yeah.
I have another quote. Oh, what's up?
No, I really hope that is what's coming for us now.
I think it is. Yeah. I really do. Yeah. So
there are so many queer young people right now that are like,
they're not going back in the closet. These people wouldn't either.
And they're so much freer than I could even ever dream of being at that age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so awe-inspiring. And like, I'm going to get into it at the end. It's like they think they've won and I'm like, no, bitch.
We're just getting started.
You've poked the wrong one.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Capo says that it got people to see themselves as a voting bloc. It got them to see that their very existence and their rights were very much under attack in a different way than we had seen in the decade prior. This activism would spread from Dade County and it would go around the country pushing against Bryant's own Christian crusade. As she traveled, they traveled too. They're like, oh, we're coming with you, bitch. So that same year, the co-executive directors of the National Gay Task Force, they wrote a thank you letter to Anita Bryant in the New York Times, thanking her and her Save the Children organization, saying that they were doing the 20 million lesbians and gay men in America an enormous favor. They're focusing the public on the nature and the prejudice and discrimination we face.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I love that for us.
Right? It's so good. So, though Bryant, she did unfortunately enjoy at least like 3 years of fame. But after that, she got her comeuppance. So her anti-gay rhetoric, her hating ass bullshit ultimately caused her career to plummet. Her booking agent first dropped her. Then the Florida Citrus Commission said, girl, bye, we're done with you. And that was the biggest blow to her coin purse. We love to see it.
Absolutely.
The biggest blow, however, though, was that she filed for divorce.
Oh, but the traditional family values.
Her Christian fundamentalist audiences said, "Bye, girl. We're not paying you to come here because you've now you're in conflict with the Lord. You're God."
Wait, they had standards back then?
I think it was because like she filed for divorce too.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we can't have that. Now we're like, that's the new battle. You know,
Yeah, women.
This is what's coming down the pipeline is
ERA.
no fault divorces.
Yeah.
We can't allow women to have any rights whatsoever. They are
agency for
property.
women. Come now. You stay with that man even if he's abusive. So, you know, it's a happy story in the end. Brian had said in the beginning, I had to take out basically all of her quotes, but she was like so fiery in the beginning, being like, this is God's will. Like, if God will protect me in, I guess, my career. Bitch, he was, God who? God is like, I don't know you.
Apparently God lost your number.
Yeah. So she said that she was willing, in the beginning, she said that she was willing to sacrifice her livelihood to advocate for what she believed in. God's will, etc.
How brave of her.
Yes.
God was like, new phone, who
Yeah,
does?
totally.
You dumb fucking bitch.
So when she did lose her career, she did not see this as a consequence of her hating ass actions. She became the victim. She claimed that she was being blacklisted. She was being attacked.
Shocking.
You know.
I'm gooped.
She did the white lady. She did the straight white lady. So
do the white lady.
Oh my God. I feel like the white lady is that one video that always circulates Instagram of like that white woman teaching hip hop. Like, you know, like hunching over in her. Yeah. She's like, the key to hip hop is, it's like, girl, stop there. Stop there.
There's a whole sketch about that on Bob's Burgers too.
Stop it. Okay. I need to find that episode. So the failing New York Times, being the failing New York Times, they took up for Bryant. As she fell from grace, they invited her to write a fucking editorial in which she talked about how she had the right to express her views. Bitch, that was never the problem.
Girl, you can say whatever the fuck you want, but that doesn't, you don't have the right to protection from consequences.
You don't have the right to make your religious ideas policy, bitch. Like, get out of here. So
yeah, nobody said you couldn't say what you wanted to say, but
and her policy ideas had deadly consequences for gay Americans, not just losing their livelihood. Many lost their lives. 2 weeks after the reversal of this ordinance in Miami, a gay man named Robert Hillsborough was stabbed to death in San Francisco. Jesus Witnesses said that one of the men who killed him was shouting anti-gay slurs. Hillsborough's mother later filed a $5 million civil lawsuit against the attackers, and also naming Anita Bryant as a defendant because she alleged that one of her son's attackers yelled out, "Here's one for Anita." Bryant would eventually get dropped from the lawsuit, but the accusation was never forgotten, thankfully.
Yeah.
A poll of 800 high school students at the time that year named Bryant and Adolf Hitler as the famous woman and famous man who had done the most damage to the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
In what year?
79.
That's incredible.
Yeah, 79. This is in San Francisco, but yeah, love young people.
Okay.
Yeah. Still. So the tide would turn very quickly against Save Our Children in California. So that was in 78. That was in 78. The thing that happened, the reversal in Miami, was 77.
Okay.
So a year later, voters in California, when they were given the choice of, should we reverse this ban protecting gay people? They're like, fuck no, get out of here. Like, we're reaffirming this. We see you.
Yeah.
It would take Miami almost way too long, almost 2 decades to get with the program and get rid of repeal their ordinance. But today, even though state legislators continue to chip away at LGBTQIA rights, same-sex marriage is legal across the country, for now at least.
For now.
Federal law still protects queer people from discrimination in the workplace, or at least on paper, they do. These protections, as we all know, don't apply to trans people just generally at the margins, gender nonconforming, Black people. These rules were never there for us. So almost 50 years have passed, and we seem to be back at this inflection point, which is can be really heartbreaking. But at the same time, it's like you said in your scandal, we've done this before. We've seen the playbook. Florida Republicans are fighting against teachers once again. They don't want teachers to be able to talk openly about queer issues in the classroom in an age-appropriate way. They don't want any conversations about people who are different.
They just extended "Don't Say Gay" for all grades.
I saw that.
Ages.
I saw that.
Yeah. So it never had anything to do with children.
No. At first, it was K through 3, so they could pretend that it was about the kids. But yeah, we know.
Yeah, they were over there in the land of make believe.
Yeah.
But
truly. So Florida Republicans are just doing the worst. They're hurting transgender kids that they claim to protect by wanting to follow them into bathrooms. They're hurting drag performers who are just minding their business, creating beautiful art for people. These professional bigots, they're not saying homosexuals cannot reproduce, so they must recruit, but they talk about groomers. Like, they have their own language.
Exactly.
And these groomers are never actual pedophiles like the ones within their ranks. They're usually people who support queer issues. Those are the groomers.
Yeah.
It's a term to silence people. And we fucking see you. So Bryant like Bryant in 1977, they say that they're acting in the name of protecting children's education at a time when they're also fighting to keep discussions of institutionalized racism out of the classroom. And like in 1977, we're not buying it. We're not.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, anyone with eyes and a brain can see what's happening. See that the people who are really hurting children in the way that this outrage is all about are the people who, like, church leadership.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah. So DeSantis, his administration has threatened to essentially shut down drag venues that allow minors. The state is going after their liquor licenses, which is heartbreaking because one of the first bars that I went to as an 18-year-old was a gay bar, and they let you in with a wristband. They were very, like, I was such a nerd. I was not even trying to drink, but like, I had a friend who was like trying to drink, and they were watching all the kids. They're like, we're not trying to lose our liquor license. Fuck out of here,
Literally.
kids. So I didn't know what drag was about, but like, I just loved the environment. It was so welcoming. It was so beautiful. It was so transformative. And that's what they're afraid of. Children seeing the beauty in it. And I get why they're afraid. And why they're again demonizing this small, unprotected, so they think, group of people minding their own business. Because they think we won't fight for them. And they were wrong almost 50 years ago. And I think they're wrong now because of kids and, millennials who aren't shitty, boomers already. We see you, DeSantis. Yeah. I love that people refer, I don't know if you saw this meme, that DeSantis is the first AI generated presidential candidate.
No, I have not seen that.
It's
That's
so
incredible.
True. We fucking see you, bitch. And we're not impressed, and we're coming for you. And I do think we can't discount the fact that this is actively hurting people and children, right now, today.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But this is not the end, and we're not going to stop. We're not going to stop.
No.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Absolutely not. Yeah. I think I probably said this in the last episode too, but like, my fear really is that it's going to get worse before it gets better. But it's going to get better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And probably, hopefully at least, probably much like what happened with Anita Bryant, it's going to get more better than it would have if they hadn't done this.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah, completely. Yeah. They fucking tried it, and there will be consequences.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that we're in the one step back phase right now, but it'll be accompanied by 2 steps forward.
Yeah. And hopefully a kick in the dick.
Yes. Or at least dick scurvy, if nothing else.
You can use that second step momentum to really throw our back into it. So yeah, that's it. That's it, folks.
That's it. Oh my God. Thank you for telling that story. I mean, first of all, I knew about Anita Bryant, but I didn't know all there was to know about what a hate-ass bitch she was. We should put a clip
of her being pied?
In the show notes, the YouTube, and also on Instagram if we can. Because it is
joyful.
Delicious.
That's how I know her. I never even knew her name, but I'd seen that pie meme, and something about it just felt right.
Yeah.
You know, like she deserved what she got.
She fully deserved what she got. Yeah. Well, again, thank you for telling that story.
Yeah. I didn't want to tell it, but then when I found out that like she had a bad life afterwards, I'm like, yes.
this is it.
Yeah. Because it feels like she's almost like an anti-hero. Like she helped the movement in a way. I mean, she hurt so many people. Like people died because of her. But ultimately, she pushed it forward. And
absolutely,
she's mad about that if she can even recognize what she did.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hopeful. It makes me hopeful. My story was like super depressing for me anyways, researching and writing my story. But then hearing your story definitely gave me renewed hope that we have a brighter future ahead.
Definitely. This is not the end at all. This is like, this is like the swell of the ocean before, they're hit.
Sure.
And it's just, for me, it's so clear that they're afraid. That they know that they're losing so badly that they're picking on trans babies. That's who they're going after.
Literally.
And it's so it's so sick.
It's like disgusting. You don't have anything better to do.
Yeah. It's just really. But yeah, this is not the end. Yeah. But yeah, it's just it's sick.
All right. Thank you again for telling that story. It's really, really, really important, especially now, especially in the year of our Lord 2023.
Yeah.
It's
a mess.
And in June. Yeah. But my drink has long been empty. I've sucked every last ounce of moisture out of this glass, and I even ate the orange slice.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. That's it. We did it.
That's it.
Yeah. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. Go to Pride. Go to a Pride event. Please.
Yeah, go to a Pride event. Show the fuck out. Like, just... be who they're afraid to be. Like,
wear a disguise.
Oh my God, yes. Fucking A. Wear a disguise. Wear a disguise and commit crimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be gay, do crime. Yeah.
Yeah. That's words to live by.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. America's history is juicy. We just add some fancy Italian aperitif called Aperol. And some sparkling wine and soda water and deliciousness. Thank you so much for listening to Beyond Reproach. This has been Tux Lurzel.
Stephanie Domingo.
And of course, thank you to our new audio editor, Thomas. We could not do this without him.
We couldn't.
Wow. That's it.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Beyond Reproach. Please note that we are not historians. We're just a couple of drunks who never shut up and love history. A full list of all source information can be found in the show notes on our website. Please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. Written reviews are especially important. If you like us, please do one of two things. Leave us a written review on Apple Podcasts or send this episode to a friend, family member, or someone who you think would be into it. Don't forget to follow us on social media and make sure you follow us on Instagram because we post our cocktail recipes the Thursday before each full episode. Please drink along with us if you are not driving. We also have a shop on beyondreproachpod.com. Get your merch, brand yourselves. And we also have exclusive content on Patreon where you can directly support the production of our show.